In a quiet corner of our city, where hope often feels like a distant memory, lived a man named Arthur. A retired Marine, his days were marked by a quiet solitude, his home a fortress of discipline and memories. But outside his window, a different kind of war was brewing. Every day he saw him a teenager named Leo, walking with a heavy slouch, his eyes reflecting the shadows of the streets. Leo was drifting, pulled by the dangerous currents of a local gang, a path that led to a dead end. Arthur saw a kid drowning, and he couldn't just stand by and watch. He knew that inaction was a choice he couldn't live with. One sweltering afternoon, as Leo loitered near his fence, Arthur walked out. He didn't lecture, he didn't preach. He simply said, "Hey kid, fence needs a coat of paint. I'll pay you $20. Leo, surprised, just shrugged and agreed. That small chore was the beginning. It was just a painted fence, but it was the first brushstroke on a new canvas for Leo's life. The $20 felt different from any money he'd ever had before. It felt earned, it felt real. The chores continued. Weeding the garden, cleaning the gutters, organizing the garage. Arthur never treated him like a charity case. He treated him like an employee, then like an apprentice, and slowly, without either of them realizing it, like a son. The garage, once just a place for odd jobs, became their classroom. Arthur, with the quiet patience of a seasoned leader, started teaching Leo things that went far beyond fixing a lawnmower. He taught him how to stand tall, how to look someone in the eye. He taught him the rhythm of a disciplined day. Wake up early, make your bed, set a goal, achieve it. Simple Marine Corps principles that felt alien to Leo's chaotic world. Discipline isn't punishment, Arthur would say, while they polished old tools. It's the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It's choosing what you want most over what you want now. For Leo, this was a revelation. The gang offered a twisted sense of belonging, built on fear and intimidation. Arthur offered something else: respect. He showed Leo how to respect himself, his work, and others. He shared stories from his time in the service, not of combat, but of camaraderie. Of depending on the person next to you, of having a purpose bigger than yourself. He was rebuilding Leo from the ground up, replacing the crumbling foundation of the streets with solid bedrock. The change wasn't overnight. There were days Leo didn't show up. Days he'd arrive with a fresh bruise and a familiar darkness in his eyes. The pull of his old life was strong. The gang members didn't like losing one of their own. They saw Leo's transformation as a betrayal. They'd taunt him, threaten him. One evening, they cornered him, pushing him against a wall. For a terrifying moment, Leo felt the old anger, the old instinct to fight back, to prove himself. But then he heard Arthur's voice in his head. "Your strength isn't in your fists, son. It's in your choices." Leo took a deep breath, stood his ground without raising a hand, and walked away. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. He went straight to Arthur's house, his whole body trembling. Arthur just opened the door, looked at him, and nodded. He didn't need an explanation. He just put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Proud of you. Let's get some dinner." That night was the turning point. The gang's power over him was broken. Leo started spending less time on the streets and more time in Arthur's garage, which now had a desk and a pile of books. Arthur discovered Leo was sharp, a quick learner who had just never been given a chance. He helped him with his homework, pushing him in subjects where he struggled and cheering him on in those where he excelled. School, once a place Leo avoided, became a place of opportunity. His grades started to climb. He began to dream of a future beyond the neighborhood. He talked about college, about engineering, about building things. Arthur listened, and then he did more than listen. He helped Leo study for his entrance exams. He drove him to campus tours. He filled out financial aid forms with him, navigating a maze of paperwork that felt more complex than any military strategy. Arthur was not just a mentor anymore. He was a guide, a strategist, a father figure in every sense of the word. Years of hard work culminated in a single, life-changing envelope. It was an acceptance letter, along with a full scholarship to a state university. Leo held the letter, his hands shaking, tears streaming down his face. He ran all the way to Arthur's house and burst through the door, waving the paper in the air. Arthur read it, and for the first time, Leo saw the old Marine's eyes well up. He didn't say a word, just pulled Leo into a powerful, unbreakable hug. Before Leo left for college, the community held a small farewell party for him. When it was his turn to speak, he stood up, his voice clear and steady. He thanked his teachers and his friends, and then he turned to the back of the room where Arthur stood. trying to remain unnoticed. But the person I owe everything to, Leo said, his voice thick with emotion, is that man right there. Arthur didn't just give me chores. He gave me a chance. He taught me that I was worth more than the corner I was standing on. He saved my life. The room erupted in applause, but it wasn't just for Leo, it was for Arthur. The quiet veteran, who asked for nothing, had single-handedly saved a kid the world was ready to give up on. Neighbors who had only ever seen him as the quiet man who kept to himself now saw him as a hero. They saw the profound impact one person's kindness can have. Arthur's story reminds us that heroes don't always wear capes or uniforms. Sometimes they re a retired Marine who sees a kid in trouble and decides to offer him a job painting a fence. They are the ones who show up, who invest their time, who teach discipline not as a punishment, but as a form of love. And in doing so, they don't just save one life. They inspire an entire community, proving that the greatest battles are often won not on a battlefield, but in the human heart. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please give it a like and subscribe for more content that celebrates the good in people. Until next time.